20 years ago, the Empire destroyed the Mystic Village. They took everything from Kumara and turned her tragedy into a weapon. But now, the man responsible has walked right into her labyrinth, and Kumara is not helpless anymore. AI Anime and Manga presents. If you're enjoying the series, please take a second to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. And a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters who make this early access and production possible. Now, let's get back to the story. Once, there was a hidden settlement known as the Mystic Village. It was said to be one of the world's secret paradises, a place where spring never ended. But that place no longer existed. 20 years ago, the Imperial Army overran it, wiped it off the map, and left almost nothing behind but memory. When Kumara remembered that day, the rage inside her nearly swallowed her whole. She had been helpless then. Because of that helplessness, she had lost her mother, her friends, and the home that had sheltered them all. Her mother had been a mystic creature, a monster with power comparable to a demon lord's. But she was also calm, gentle, and unwilling to show hostility toward humankind. The kings of the magical races who treated humans as enemies were called Mystic Lords, a force separate from the 10 great demon lords and feared by humanity in their own right. But that had nothing to do with Kumara's village. Magical races and mystic races were not the same, and Mystic Lords were only tribal kings of species that most of the world did not even know existed. The Empire, however, did not care about those distinctions. To them, the Mystic Village was convenient, a sacrifice, a target they could use to show their own subjects the Empire's military might. The village stood on the border between the demon lord Clayman's domain and the Eastern Empire. Between the foot of the mountains on the Distav side and the forest on the Imperial side, there was a hidden entrance to another world. The forest blessed the village, the mountains fed it, and the climate stayed mild through every season. It truly deserved the name Land of Everlasting Spring. And because it stood on the border, its people believed they were safe. The Empire and Clayman had formed a secret non-aggression treaty. That false peace dulled their sense of danger. Then armed soldiers came without warning. The warriors defending the village could barely resist. Their comrades were killed. Kumara's mother, the previous generation of Ninehead, lost her life with them. She had power, but she hated fighting, and in the end there was no way for her to defeat a trained professional soldier. There was no forgetting the man responsible. Kumara spoke his name with hatred sharpened by 20 years of memory. Your name is Kanzis? Of course I remember it. The name of the man who took my mother and everyone else's life. The bearded man with the loathsome smile was an enemy so hateful that even killing him would never truly bring Kumara peace. As a reward to Clayman, Kanzis had handed over Kumara, the young child of Ninehead whom he had captured alive. The village treasure was quietly stolen and split among the attackers. Then they told the Empire's people that the threat of the Mystic Village was gone. That threat was a lie of their own making. To prove the village was dangerous, they rounded up nearby residents and merchants and brutally killed them. By the end, the terrified Imperial subjects treated the attackers like heroes. It was Clayman himself, of all people, who told Kumara what had really happened. The more resentment Kumara felt toward humans, the more powerful she became. Her mystic power grew, and with it, her rank as a monster. Clayman saw how valuable a nine-head mystic beast could be, so he kept her alive as his pet. Just as he expected, her grudge ballooned over the years, and her power grew with it. Clayman even made her the thumb of his 5 fingers, the highest of his officers. Then fate turned again. Kumara came under my protection, and with us she learned what happiness was. The children helped heal the scars Clayman had spent years tearing open. And right when those wounds had begun to close, her mortal enemy appeared before her again. Kumara's oath came out as a whisper. I'll kill you. I will use every bit of my might to kill you where you stand. With that promise burning in her chest, Kumara waited for Kanzis to arrive. Colonel Kanzis, meanwhile, did not seem bothered at all by being thrown into the middle of nowhere. He was a self-made career military officer, a symbol of the meritocracy the Empire liked to boast about. He had risen to his current rank with his own fists, and he never hesitated to involve himself in evil if it advanced his position. In his mind, even the Mystic Village massacre had been legitimate, a necessary move to strengthen his own power. For the greater peace, a small sacrifice meant nothing. He felt no guilt over it because to him it was merely a necessary evil. That lack of conscience did not make him incompetent. If Kanzis had joined the ranking duels, he almost certainly would have made the top 100. The reason he did not was simple. He had no interest in becoming one of the Imperial Guardians. His own ambitions always came before loyalty to Emperor Ladora. Above all else, Kanzis had one commanding officer he trusted completely. That man was Major General Minitz. Minitz was equal to Kanzis in skill, and he had been the first to scout him out and push him upward. Kanzis' dream was to raise Minitz into the upper ranks of the military, then take control while serving underneath him. That was why this invasion looked like such a perfect opportunity. Caligulio's blunder in the forest of Jura was obvious to everyone. Punishment would come. Kanzis and Minitz had already laid groundwork in secret, hoping to unify the armored division around themselves instead. If Kanzis could rescue the hundreds of thousands of soldiers stranded in the Labyrinth and win their loyalty, his faction would swell overnight. Once that happened, Caligulio would become useless. Thinking of those superiors who believed politics alone would carry them upward, Kanzis sneered to himself. "Don't make me laugh. You think anyone would let you climb to the top of the military through political maneuvering alone?" They were not there to hear him, so he felt safe saying it. Free of concern, Kanzis set out to search for his surviving troops. After about a day, he began to notice something was wrong. The Labyrinth had entire forests and deserts inside it. But that was not the strange part. The strange part was that he could not find a single human being anywhere. Not a single monster either. Every floor was so quiet that expecting a battle around the corner began to feel absurd. Kanzis was not the type to relax because of that. But his predict danger skill told him nothing, and that silence filled his mind with unease. He narrowed his eyes and guessed the shape of the trap. Seems like they're trying to catch me off guard. Maybe they're concentrating their forces somewhere? His insight was impeccable. He was exactly right. Then his boldness took over. Kanzis laughed at the royal welcome he imagined waiting for him and sprinted ahead, making a beeline for the descending stairs. He was certain he could kick aside any trap in his path. A few hours later, Kanzis stood at the gates of a vast mansion, an opulent structure built to intimidate anyone who approached. The gates opened without a sound, and the battle began. Kumara greeted him in all her courtesan-like beauty, wearing a ghastly, hair-raising smile. Her welcome was soft and deadly. "Allow me to welcome you." Kanzis smiled back. His tone was casual, almost fond. "Well, thank you very much. It's been a long time since I've seen you. You're the little fox from way back when, aren't you?" Kumara's reply came with careful restraint. "You remember me. I'm greatly honored." Kanzis did not miss the chance to twist the knife. "How could I ever forget? Your mother played an instrumental part in my rise to fame." Sparks flew between them, literally. Mystic spirit and fighting spirit clashed so violently that the tension in the air triggered electric surges. Kumara's composure cracked just enough for her fury to show. "You are shameless." Kanzis only laughed, amused by the rage he had provoked. "So you were fine all along then? Although I suppose that's only because I sold you over to Clayman. You ought to thank me for that." Kumara's answer was low and murderous. "I'll kill you." As if responding to her rage, the white monkey appeared. He opened with a storm of club strikes, showing the majesty of the leader of the 8 creatures under Kumara's control. Kanzis watched the attack and offered her something he clearly found entertaining. "So you're a mystic survivor then? Well, let me show you something interesting." Without any advanced casting, he summoned another simian. This one was covered in dark fur. Kumara recognized it immediately. Horror cut through her anger. You're one of my mother's servants!" There was no doubt. It was one of Kumara's mother's tail beasts. Kanzis enjoyed the recognition. "There's a sight for sore eyes, isn't it? Here, take him on for a while." The dark ape had once been kind. Kumara remembered playing with him as a child. But now that familiar old ape bared his fangs at her, Kumara called out to him, wounded by the blank hostility in his eyes. "You've forgotten about me? Her voice did not reach him. With a high-pitched screech, the dark ape overwhelmed the white monkey. Kanzis was not interested in joining the fight himself. He took a cigarette from his pocket, lit it, drew in the smoke, and gave Kumara a bemused smile. "Don't bother. That monkey has become my loyal servant. He doesn't remember a thing about you." Kumara forced out the question. "What did you do to the dark ape?" Kanzis mocked her confusion without even pretending innocence. "Now what is that supposed to mean? Do you suspect me of something?" He had no intention of taking her seriously. Realizing that, Kumara let her anger drive her to the next step. "Moon Rabbit, Black Mouse, come on out!" 2 more of her tails transformed. Now it was 3 against 1, putting the fight back in her favor. Only for a moment. Kanzis answered with the same casual cruelty. "Dark Rabbit, Dark Mouse, you're up." He summoned mystic creatures to match Kumara's. This time she could not hide her shock. "No." Kanzis heard the disbelief and savored it. Surprised? I am too. I never thought a kid like you could summon 3 tail beasts at once. Clayman must have trained you very well. He still thought of Kumara as a fool. His confidence came from more than arrogance. The beasts he summoned were stronger than the 8 at Kumara's disposal. Kanzis decided playtime had gone on long enough. "Let's end it here, shall we?" More creatures appeared at his command. Kumara recognized them with a jolt. No, the dark tiger and the dark snake too. Each dark summon was stronger than Kumara's equivalent. That was no surprise. These were the loyal bodyguards of the previous 9-head, Kumara's own mother. A single tail beast was already incredibly powerful. Now 5 of them stood under Kanzis' command. Their formerly calm, gentle temperaments were gone. Their maniacal instincts were fully unleashed. At that point, Kanzis thought he had already won. No matter how much the fox kit had grown, he assumed 3 tail beasts at once was her limit. Even Kumara's mother had maxed out at 5, and she had been a fox spirit who lived for thousands of years. How could Kumara, with only centuries to her lifespan, ever produce that much force? That assumption made him careless. Kanzis offered the insult like a gift. "If you want, I'd be happy to keep you as my pet now. You are cordially invited to switch sides, from the Demon Lord Rimuru to me. Do it, and I'll spare your life." It was not a negotiation, it was an order based on absolute certainty. And it was a fatal mistake. Kumara's fury deepened, but so did the beauty of her smile. How amusing. If you've made me this angry, you must have come prepared for the consequences, didn't you? No answer was needed. Kumara unleashed all her tail beasts at once, producing the full array of 8. Thunder Tiger, Winged Snake, Sleeping Ram, Firebird, and Mirror Dog appeared, completing the ensemble alongside White Monkey, Moon Rabbit, and Black Mouse. For the first time that day, Kanzis sounded alarmed. "What? 8 of them? You..." The alarm lasted only a moment. He quickly regained his composure and flashed a fearless smile. "Well, I commend you for your surprising growth, but we still have the strength advantage." Kumara cut him off. "Silence." Kanzis brushed her anger aside with another taunt. "Scary. In that case, I will say no more. The next thing I do will be to strip you limb from limb. You will make lovely decorations for my room." The negotiations were over. The battle of 8 against 5 began. Kumara's ensemble had the numerical advantage, but their opponents were elites who had served her predecessor for untold years. Their magicule energy was immense and their experience was just as dangerous. White Monkey and the others were far from weak, but the dark former servants were powerful enough to counteract being outnumbered. As the battle continued, Kumara's beasts were gradually pushed back. Even so, she did not give up. She watched Kanzis carefully and began to understand the structure of his control. Each beast he summoned was powerful alone. Even without memory, they retained enough reason to respond quickly to his instructions. That meant if Kumara defeated their commander, his dark creatures might lose their coordination. She had another option as well. If she recalled all 8 tail beasts to herself, she could take her true form. By her judgment, that would give her the edge over Kanzis and his team. So Kumara did not panic. She judged the situation calmly. Kanzis, on the other hand, only looked composed. In truth, he was near the edge of his limits. The reason was his secret power. the unique skill Looter. Looter had no power on its own. It needed something to build upon. Kanzis first discovered it as a child after killing a friend's pet dog over a petty grudge. After that, he found he could summon a dark incarnation of the dog whenever he wanted. By itself, that was only mildly useful in a fight. But after he joined the army and battled guerrillas on the Empire's far frontiers, he discovered Looter's true value. Whenever Kanzis killed someone by his own hand, he could summon darkness just as powerful as that victim. That was the rule. He could call only those he personally killed. The more he killed, the stronger his options became. But it was not cumulative power, not the combined strength of everyone he had ever murdered. Looter only let him tap the darkness of the greatest adversary he had taken down. It could recreate a victim's appearance and skills with disturbing perfection, which made it useful for disguises and undercover work. But Kanzis could only handle so much darkness at once. The skill depended on his own life force and control capacity. If it did not, he might have been able to command whole armies alone. Kumara had guessed all of that accurately. Even while disadvantaged, she was not especially concerned. Her eyes stayed on Kanzis. Now I can tell. You've reached your limit, haven't you? Kanzis did not deny it. And what if I have? Kumara answered with the simplicity of a final verdict. I don't know how you have taken control of the Dark Ape and the rest, but that is not the issue. I am going to kill you anyway. That was her analysis. The two bands of servants were nearly even in strength, but the commanders themselves were not in the fray. If Kumara attacked Kanzis directly, he would not be able to give clean orders to his dark creatures. And in raw magicule energy, Kumara far surpassed him. Her warning was quiet. Don't worry, I am not going to make this easy for you. The next instant, Kumara vanished. She reappeared behind Kanzis and swiped for his neck with her claws. Kanzis reacted in time. Privately, he admitted she was right. Out loud, he kept his detached attitude. You sure are scary. If you were going to grow this much, I should have killed you 20 years ago. Kumara's answer was a sharp command. Silence! Kanzis laughed at her anger, then chose another wound to open. Now, don't be so angry. To make up for it, why don't I show you something truly interesting? He had not lied about Looter. The skill could summon only those he had killed, and it had limits on both the target and the amount of power Kanzis could draw out. But it still had one more trick. Without hesitation, Kanzis revealed it to Kumara. Have you ever wondered why I sold you to Clayman? Why I let go of you despite knowing what a powerful asset you would be? The reason was simple. Kanzis had already gained immense power, far more easily than he ever could by taming and raising Kumara. He banished the dark beasts and summoned a single large creature in their place. This was the source of his strength, the reason he had never needed Kumara at all. Kumara's voice broke. That figure... Mother? Before her stood a dark fox spirit bearing 5 thick tails and 4 thinner ones. It was the master of the mystic village. But now she looked ominous. The kind visage she had carried throughout her life was gone without a trace. Kanzis broke into a long, ugly laugh. He wanted Kumara to understand exactly what he had stolen. You guessed it, it's your mother. And now that she is under my command, she can handle and unleash all her violent forces without restraint. Amazing, isn't it? Wouldn't you like to see it? Kumara's mother had possessed a gentle nature. She showed mercy even to enemies, and that mercy had come back to destroy her. Even with the powers of a demon lord, she chose a modest life hidden away from the world, interacting with it only when absolutely necessary. That was Kumara's predecessor. And now, by Kanzis' hand, she was being forced to unleash the power she had spent her life refusing to use. Kumara's voice trembled with rage and grief. So you dare to make a mockery of the dead too? Kanzis corrected her as if he found the word insulting. Not mockery, respect. I am putting her powers to good use. You should thank me for it. The Dark Nine head flared with rage as it saw Kumara. But there was no emotion in its eyes. Kumara was only the enemy, nothing more. Kumara could barely whisper, Mother. Kanzis gave the order, kill her. The Dark Nine head moved. In the next instant, the full force of the combined dark beasts lashed out at Kumara's team. Kumara cried out as two of her companions reacted a fraction too late. Winged Snake, Mirror Dog. They were seriously injured by the blow and returned to Kumara in tail form. That was how powerful the attack was. Her group clearly could not win in its current formation. Defeat was not even a concept in his mind. With Ninehead beside him in his own augmented body, he could not imagine losing to a little fox. He had once even thought Clayman beneath him. Kanzis had planned to kill Clayman after fully mastering Ninehead's powers, but then the newcomer Demon Lord Rimuru killed Clayman first. To Kanzis, that only proved Clayman had never been much. But Kumara had just revealed she could command 8 tail beasts at once. They lacked experience now, but given time and maturity, there was no telling what they might become. Kanzis saw that future and wanted it for himself. In his mind, killing Kumara here and dousing her in his own power would raise him even higher. With that, even an upstart demon lord should be no match for him. Driven by that greed, he began his attack. Kumara stood still. Then she shook her head and murmured to herself, "If I lose my cool, I lose it all." That was how it went. I must have forgotten Lady Hinata's lesson. She looked at the man and the beast slowly approaching her. Her order to the tail beasts was calm. "Everyone fall back." Answering her call, the tail beasts vanished into balls of light and were drawn back into her. Then Kumara's 9 tails began to glow with mesmerizing radiance. The man and the dark beast were already in front of her, but Kumara was in no hurry. Her tail beasts were inexperienced and she knew that, but Kumara herself was not. She had an excellent teacher. She had diligent friends who worked hard at her side. The environment around her had refined her, and that refinement now held her steady. Kumara gently stopped the sharpened claws and the well-honed knife approaching her with both hands. For a heartbeat, Kanzis could not understand what had happened. The shock forced a broken sound from him. You! Kumara's voice was clear. "I haven't given you my name yet, have I? I am Kumara." Kanzis staggered over the fact before him. You have a name." Kumara completed it. Ninehead Kumara. The claws shattered. The knife snapped in two. Kanzis hurriedly pulled back as Kumara gave him a bewitching smile. She spoke to him one last time before ending the stolen shadow of her mother. "But there is no need to remember it. I was going to give you a slow and gruesome death, but that would be too much for us to bear. So..." Before Kumara finished the sentence, the dark beast crumbled to pieces. With her own hands, Kumara destroyed the previous Ninehead's dark incarnation. Kanzis yelped, unable to believe what he was seeing. "You're kidding?" The greatest tool in his arsenal was vanishing before his eyes. Unlike a traditional summon, Kanzis's looter skill formed darkness from a corpse as its base. Once a beast like that was lost, he could never call it again. He had looted her. Now Kumara had taken her back. Kanzis could barely form the words. You... Kumara's answer carried neither mercy nor confusion. "If I were stronger, perhaps we could have tormented you more. But alas, it ends here." Kanzis finally panicked. Wait! Kumara had no patience left for his nonsense. His pleas fell on deaf ears. Her farewell was simple. Farewell. With that final word, Kanzis's life came to a close. Kumara's 9-tail slash began, striking him from every direction and killing him in a heartbeat. That was Kumara, a woman of ravishing beauty and ruthless, tough-as-nails will. She longed for what she had lost, but she carried no lingering regrets. Death, she understood, was death. It could never be taken back. And that was exactly why she had to make sure nothing more was taken from her. The Mystic Village was gone forever, but now Kumara had a home to return to. In this moment, the most important thing was that she had stepped forward to keep from losing that home too. Kumara turned her apology toward the tail beasts who had shared her grief. "I wanted to give you all a chance at revenge, but you will have to forgive me." Still, the revenge was done. Her mother would never be revived, but her dignity was restored. Kumara smiled, satisfied at last.
Route confirmed. The next episode and full playlist are ready.
Then don't stop here. Keep watching in story order and subscribe before the next part drops.